Hello and welcome to the Long Talk here on New Zealand Sports Radio. And I've got an absolute cracking interview coming up. I've already been told that he is a very interesting chap, and he has definitely been around the world with his sport, so he's got plenty of stories, I'm sure. Welcome to Mark Watson from the beach volleyball player. How you doing, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Mike Watson, not Mark Watson. Jeez, I've got your name wrong here before we start. How embarrassing. You've been gone to world championships and things like that. You've had a long career in beach volleyball. What was your first volleyball experience?
Basically, one of my friends signed up for a team, and he wanted someone to help set him. He wanted someone to practice with, and I wasn't even playing the game. And then just decided to help him, and then really enjoyed it. So I went from there, just joined the local school team. But yeah, it was awesome.
And how far did he go?
Did he go? Not very far. He quit kind of the next year. So a few of my other friends that I played with when I was younger are still playing now and at a high level as well.
Cool. So how old were you when you started sort of doing that setting and joining it?
It was first year of high school, so 13 years old.
And I guess that's something that I'm finding with volleyball is that you sort of come into it a bit later than, say, your sort of rugby's, crickets, that kind of stuff. So were you kind of sporty before?
Definitely, yeah. I played heaps of sports. I played a lot of football. I was into athletics, pretty much all sports, squash, tennis. It's quite a hard sport to play when you're younger. It requires a high level of coordination, and when you're young, it's tough to play. So when you get a little bit older, it becomes a bit easier.
Yeah, that's about my only experience where it was playing in school, and the ball would just go all over the place. Rallies of two or three hits would be kind of considered a big success. As you say, it is a high skill, high coordination game. So, were you an indoor volleyball player, or have you always been on the beach?
I started off in indoor. Everyone kind of, most people start off playing indoor. And then we pretty much just couldn't get enough. So the indoor season finished, and then we just went on to the beach. Our coach recommended us to just go play some beach volleyball. And then, we just played as much as we could. So we were playing indoor, on the sand, on the grass, pretty much everywhere we could play, we were playing. So we definitely started indoor, but then naturally progressed to the beach as well from there.
Yeah, and it's surprising. And when you go to, obviously you put over my accent, I'm English, but if you go to the beach over in the UK, everyone does a football, you go to the beach, go down Mission Bay or somewhere like that, and you see everyone playing touch rugby and volleyball. It's a big participation sport here, isn't it, in New Zealand, if not a big spectator sport?
Yeah, it's popular. There's a lot. We have a Tuesday night social league for beach volleyball down here in the Mount, and it's packed every Tuesday. It's really, really busy. I think they set up like 30 courts each night, so it is really popular. There's just not that many opportunities to play at the moment.
So I was talking with your CEO, and I suggested to her that you needed to get onto Mount Maunganui Council and get a permanent setup with some good stands and things. It sounds like you're getting a big enough crowd. You're getting a big enough crowd there on a Tuesday night that maybe that's something they should do. Have a permanent courts and get some permanent stands in place, some showers. You have a nice venue there.
Yeah, it's been talked about for a while. And one of the things that is holding us back is that the beach is used for a whole different array of sports, like not just volleyball. So it would have to be a place where it would be out of the way, but still able to be viewed by spectators and stuff. So, and also the residents, I don't know if they are too happy with permanent courts. That's kind of been a bit of an obstacle in the past. But recently we've had our own net just set up. We used to set it up and take it up and pull it down before every training. But then we just decided, you know what, let's just leave it up for a week. And then the week became a month, and then like suddenly we were leaving it up over summer. So it gets used all the time, which is cool. A lot of people come down, just bring their own board and use the net. So there is a kind of semi-permanent net there over summer, but it just belongs to us. So yeah.
And then it becomes 30 odd on a Tuesday night. That's amazing. How important is it to have sort of a flat surface then? Because I guess if you're just throwing them up and taking them down again, you're on a beach. Most beaches aren't flat. They kind of slope down to the sea. So how does that kind of work?
It's pretty important. You need to have a flat area. So if it is a sloping beach, if it's not too bad, you can get away with it. But if it's really bad, then you're not going to be able to play on it. So the thing about the mountains is it's a huge area and it's really flat. So there's a lot of space to set up courts. So it's probably one of the only beaches in New Zealand that has the capacity to have that many courts.
So you started off. So was when you started off, were you actually in the Mount, or have you sort of moved there?
No, I was. I grew up in Tauranga. I went to Otamoto College, so the Mount was just across the bridge. So yeah, I've always been playing here.
Oh, so it's fantastic. Yeah, you say the perfect beach for it. So that's obviously going to be your favourite place. Which other places around New Zealand have you enjoyed? We've got good beaches for beach volleyball.
We had a new tournament this year up in Ruakaka Beach, just north of Auckland, about 2 hours north of Auckland, and it was beautiful. I had never played there before. I'd actually never been there before. So the sand was really nice. We had it on a long weekend. There was a good crowds, and the weather was great. So I know all the players really enjoyed that beach. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that good sand, that's the important thing, is it? I was chatting with Olivia McDonald, and she was saying how some beaches can have lots of shells in the sand, and it starts to cut up your feet and stuff. So yeah, the quality of the sand, quality of the surface is an important thing for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Even just one end of the mount compared to the other, one end's really shelly and one end's a lot more cleaner. So it definitely makes a difference. The other thing is how deep the sand is. So if it's harder, obviously it makes it easier to jump. You can jump higher, but when it's softer, you kind of sink into the sand a bit more, which makes it harder to play.
When you get to that sort of pro level, then do you have teams who right? Okay, they're a deep sand team or they're a hard sand team that you're going to struggle, have an easier or harder game against somebody?
No, not really. It's just more that you need to adjust your game plan. So it's kind of everyone's the same. If it's hard, then you know that a lot of people are going to be hitting big spikes. Where if it's soft and they're not jumping as high, then they're not going to be at that same height. So they might be doing softer shots. So it doesn't really apply to specific teams. It kind of applies to like the whole population that are playing on that sand. It's kind of like they need to be just different, really. If it's harder, then everyone's going to be smashing the ball.
Okay, I'm going to try and look like I know what I'm talking about here, but you're a defender, aren't you? So that means that the whole knowing when spikes are coming is going to be a big thing for you, because you're in the back court trying to bump those back up. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I'm a defender, so good work. So there's two positions blocking. Olivia McDonald, you spoke to her, she's a blocker, a really good blocker, and then defense is the other one. So sometimes you can switch and do both. If it's really hot, sometimes it's quite hard work for the blocker to be doing all the blocking, so you might switch. But me, I'm mainly a defender, which is fun.
Now a lot of us, our kind of first experience, and perhaps I'm showing my age here, of beach volleyball was probably watching Top Gun. Was that your introduction to it, or did you?
I've actually never seen it. So I've heard about it, but never ever seen it. So I'll put it on my list of movies to watch. But yeah, I've never seen it.
Oh dear, we're just out of lockdown. So you guys actually level 3. Are you guys allowed to get out and train and play, or are you still having to?
I don't know.
Surfing's back.
It's a bit of a grey area at the moment. I'm probably going to start when we get to level 2, but I don't think we are at this stage. But yeah, it's kind of been good to have a bit of a break, because we've had a long time training over summer, so it's been good. But I'm missing it. This is the longest I haven't been playing volleyball for a long time, so I really want to get back on the court.
Yeah, because if I look back, so you seem to not play up many games last year, but in 2017, around this sort of time, you're in Australia, Thailand, Qatar. This would be kind of the Asian season, this kind of period, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you play the New Zealand summer, and then when it starts to get cold here, you go overseas. You can't really play beach volleyball in New Zealand for the whole year, especially if you want to make some money. So the Asian circuit's like a bit of a precursor to the World Tour. So you kind of go from New Zealand Tour, Asian Tour, and then to the World Tour, which is the pro stuff. But so a lot of time in Asia, which is awesome. But I didn't go last year, and that was kind of the first year I decided to have a break from traveling and save some money, buy a house, which was my goal, which I did. So I'm not sure what I want to do kind of post lockdown. I just kind of have to make those decisions.
So you've not So how was your year planned? So were you planning to be away in Asia this year, or were you going to be here? How much has it disrupted your preparation for the Olympics?
Yeah, well, we were supposed to be doing the phase 3. I'm not sure if you know about the Olympic qualification, but there's 3 phases, and we won the first phase here in New Zealand. And then that means we skipped phase 2 and was going to phase 3. And if we win that, we get to go to the Olympics. So that's obviously all off now until next year because there's no Olympics. And so that's definitely affected it. We would have been training full time right now to try and qualify for the Olympics. So that's not happening. So kind of have to readjust and replan.
So it would have been training, not touring at the moment. Would have been the important thing.
It would have been a mixture of both because funding's not unlimited. So we would have been doing as much touring as we could, but probably just training because we have to pay for our own trips. So if we did heaps of touring, we wouldn't even be able to get to the actual qualifying events. So it's kind of a bit of a balanced game where we try and tour as much as we can because playing international competitions what gets you better. But obviously we can't do everything.
Yeah, and looking at your sort of career and prize money, you had a really good event in 2015 at the World Championships.
Yeah.
But apart from that, we're looking at sort of $600, $400 in prize money per event. It's not a lot of money, is it? When you've from that point of view, not like in the kind of football or rugby kind of situation.
There's definitely money to be made at the top end. Like you said, in 2015, me and my team had a really successful year. We won a few events and we finished high in a number of events as well. So we actually made money. Normally we just try and pay for your trip, but when you're making money, it's pretty good. But in most occasions, the tournament promoter looks after the accommodation and food. So you just have to pay for your flights to get there, and then if you can, get a decent result, then you'll be paying for that, and won't be losing money, which is the big thing.
So, Air New Zealand, the ideal sponsor is who you'd like to have?
Yeah, I mean that would be awesome. I've actually a long time ago I asked them for some sponsorship, but wasn't successful, which was not surprising. But that would be. Any airline sponsor would be huge because obviously you have to fly a lot to play beach volleyball. And
so, actually, let's use the opportunity. Do you want to give a shout out to who has been your good sponsors over the years?
Yeah, at the moment I don't really have any sponsors. I have been kind of working with Lululemon a little bit for uniform stuff, but in the last kind of couple of years I've just been doing it solo, just working part time and paying for trips myself. So. Yeah.
What's the part-time job?
I work for a wholesale scaffolding company. So if people want to start scaffolding businesses, then they can come to us and buy our system. So they're really good with giving me time off to train and to travel and stuff like that. So it's awesome. It's really flexible. I can kind of leave in the afternoon about 3-ish and then go to training, which is pretty cool.
So yeah. So when I've talked to, I guess it's more for the audience, but when I've talked to sort of professional rugby players who come like, yep, okay, we get up, we train, we have a coffee, have a massage, and chill out, do a bit of professional development. That's not the same case for you. You're having to do a part-time job and then train in the evenings, much more kind of semi-pro kind of approach.
Yeah, totally. We obviously try and be as professional as possible, but it's just not possible when you're not having that kind of money. We need to survive. So. Yeah, it would be nice to be in that environment when all you're thinking about is volleyball, but unfortunately we're not. We have to do work. We have to work and go and do stuff like that.
So you've been going on this since 2006 on the kind of world circuit. You've played with Edwin O'Dean, Ben O'Dean, Sam O'Dean, your Blackburn, Peterson, Watson, Hartles, Timmer. There's a lot of different people you've played with. Are you all based in the Mount, or how do you do sort of team practice when in that situation?
So it's basically there's 2 on a team. So for me, if I'm in the same city with the person I'm playing with, it's good. When I was playing with Sam and Ben O'Day, they live in Tauranga here with me. But when I've been playing with Timmer, Johan, he lives in Auckland. So we actually haven't trained too much together But we managed to get some pretty good results. But it is tough when you live in different cities. But there's a good crew of beach volleyballers in the Mount that kind of all train together, which is helpful.
And talking with Olivia, I was asking her, how do you find partners or do these sort of things? I asked her whether does Volleyball New Zealand put together a sort of training camp and then you pair up with who's appropriate, or is it just purely having chats, word of mouth? How's it been over your career finding or deciding who to play with?
Over my career, it's been totally up to me. Volleyball New Zealand hasn't had any input on who I'm playing with, which is good and also bad because if Volleyball New Zealand were investing more money, I mean, they do the best they can. But if they had more money into a program, then I would be okay with them choosing a partner. But because it's basically self-funded, then I want to be playing with who I want to play with. So in terms of choosing a partner, there's obviously the right fit for playing, like if they do the blocking and I'm defending, so that has to work. But then the main thing is you just have to get along with them. You know, it's a big thing to be traveling with someone and playing games for 3 or 4 months at a time. And if you don't like the person, or there's little little things that drive you up the wall, it makes playing really difficult. And we've always kind of said it that we're not playing to become millionaires. We're not doing golf or tennis. So if we're not enjoying it, then it's not really worth it. So that's what I found with my recent partner, Johan. We've been really enjoying playing with each other, and it just shows on the court and it shows in our results as well, which has been good.
So Johan folds his towel up nicely after showering and doesn't need the bathroom in a mess. That's the
yeah.
So I'm guessing you guys basically share hotel rooms when you're on those 4-month trips to keep costs down.
Yeah.
And so you are literally in each other's back pocket for sort of 4 to 8 months a year.
Yeah, it's more than just us as a team. We're sharing with other New Zealand teams, other friends from every country. We could be sleeping on the floor or whatever just to save money, because kind of thing. It's just we just need to try and obviously we try and prepare for the tournament as best we can, but between events or after we get knocked out, then we're just trying to save money. So we could just I know there's been 6 of us in a double room once. I can remember that was pretty funny. I think I actually used a curtain as a blanket. It was pretty funny.
Okay, so that next question was, do you travel with a coach? I guess the answer to that is clearly going to be no. Have you learned sort of things like massage, physio, so that you can basically massage each other after games and help with the lactic acid removal and taping each other up and all that kind of stuff? Or have you become a kind of part-time physio?
Yeah, I mean I've learned that kind of stuff, definitely, especially with my own rehab for like little injuries that I have. I kind of know what I need to do. Don't really massage each other that much. We do have a physio that we see back here in New Zealand who's really good, Brad Tarkai, but he obviously doesn't travel with us. Like you said, it's so expensive. So for us, we look at Australia and they have like a whole squad of like 10 people, and only 2 or 4 of them might be playing. So they have video people, like coaches, physios go with them, and we just kind of travel by ourselves. So you just got to adapt. It would be nice to have those kind of resources, but we just make the most of what we can.
Do you video your own games then and do post-match
analysis?
That wasn't something I kind of thought about.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely video our own games. It's huge. It's tough sometimes when you've lost the game and you have to watch the footage. And you're thinking, oh, how could I do that? Or that was, it's tough to watch the losses. But when you don't have a coach there, it's important to kind of make adjustments. So I remember when we were playing, we'd be videoing the next court, because we would play the winner. If we won, we'd play the winner of the game that's going on next. So I'm trying to warm up, and then I'll be running over and starting the camera on the court next to me, and then running back, and then playing our game, and then going to grab the camera afterwards. But you just get used to it. It's just part of the sport.
That sounds pretty crazy. I mean, when I've talked to, I'm going to refer to other players, so I've talked to mostly, they'll have like a set routine for the hour or 2 hours before a game where they warm up a certain way. They'll go back, they'll get changed, strap up, whatever, check out their notebook as to what things are supposed to be concentrating on, and they have this set routine before a single game. It sounds like that's not something you can do to get your headspace or get ready for a game.
we definitely have our routines, but sometimes they just get interrupted with stuff like that. But you just have to deal with it. I have a routine that's pretty small. Like I'm kind of only really thinking about the game about half an hour before we start playing. I don't need much time to warm up, but others will spend an hour, hour and a half kind of getting into that routine. But like you said, if we have to start cameras on ours or on other courts, yeah, it can be disruptive, that's for sure.
So are there other New Zealand teams that you can kind of share that workload with and help each other out? Or
Definitely. If you're traveling at the same event with other Kiwis, then we always help each other. We've got a really good relationship with all of the players. So that's always an option. But to be honest, there's not too many events where there's more than one Kiwi team. It's just the nature of it. There's a lot of girls-only events in Asia. So we obviously can't go to those. And then for the other ones, it's like, there's not too many teams traveling. So kind of depends.
I don't know. There's a big topic about about sort of transgender people. But anyway, we won't go down that rabbit hole. That's where you can go to those events. It seems that you're always playing with other Kiwis. Is that the way it is? You have country teams. You can't pair up with an Australian or a Brit or American on the world tour. Is it a country versus country thing, or is it just that's the way it is?
It sure is. Yeah, the Asian tour and the world tour, you have to be from the same country. But if you're playing in the New Zealand tour, a national tour event, then you're allowed to play with someone from different countries. So it's just for when you get points for the Olympics, for the world ranking, then you need to be playing with someone from your own country.
So the Olympics is the big thing, is it? That's what everyone's playing towards. It's not.
Yeah.
Because if I take sort of tennis as an example, another solo sport or small team sport, we'd say the great tennis players are the ones who've won Grand Slams, not who've won Olympics. So the Olympics is bigger than the World Tour. So if you have win the World Tour 6 times but never get an Olympic medal, you're not as good as the Olympic medalists. How do you rank people? I guess
the Olympics is the biggest thing for sure. It's interesting, and I like that. I know what it's like in tennis with Wimbledon or the Grand Slams are the big things, but for beach volleyball, the Olympics is huge. It's just the main event pretty much. I think it's because it's hard to qualify. So that makes it quite prestigious. But yeah, it's interesting because there's no prize money for the Olympics. So you could say the world champs when there's big prize money on the line. But I don't know, it's just something about the Olympics that for beach volleyball anyway, it's definitely the most prestigious event.
And you look, it's a very popular event at the Olympics. It sells out very quickly, and they get big crowds. What kind of money does the winner of the World Championships get?
I think the World Champs first place, the last one was $100,000 US. Right. So it's a decent amount of money, but when you compare it to tennis, it's not in the same ballpark.
No, it's still So it's a long way behind your tennis, your golfs, etc. So I talked with Olivia, and she talked about going over to the States and playing over there in college system. How did you go from school to international? Did you go away to a college system, or how did you make that transition from school into your first tournament in Bermuda?
Yeah, it's different for girls. There's a lot more opportunities to get scholarships in the US because they don't have many sports. But for volleyball, you've got to compete with like basketball and American football to get scholarships. So it is an option. There are people that are doing it, but it's definitely harder for guys. So the problem at the moment in New Zealand is that there's no real link between when you finish high school and the next phase. So for me, it was I just had a bunch of friends that we were playing. There was like 10 of us, and we just wanted to keep playing volleyball. When I was in school and I was in my last year, and my parents were asking me, "What are you going to do?" I was just like, "I want to play. I want to try and give this volleyball thing a crack." So I was fortunate enough that there was a group of us in the same boat, so that kind of pushed it. And that's how I ended up making the New Zealand team. But that's the thing that is quite disappointing at the moment in New Zealand, because we don't have that link from high school to the next level. So I know that we are trying to develop it and we're heading in the right direction, but if you've got a kid that's, let's say just as good as rugby as what he is in volleyball or another sport, then he's not going to play volleyball just because what's he going to do? There's no pathway after high school. So I think the reason that my friends and I made it was just because we loved the game so much. We were competitive, and we just, after school we were still playing. So a lot of players drop off after school, which is disappointing. But yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Even rugby loses players to rugby league because they can get in rugby you generally go through an academy where you get paid less, whereas in rugby league you can go straight into professional ranks and earn more. So even they lose players in a situation where you don't even have that academy structure or a structure to carry you through, even if it is on low pay. Then that's going to be even harder to keep people in the sport for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially when, as you said, from the beach volleyball side of things, you decide who your partner is. There isn't someone helping you or saying, hey, look, you two guys would be really good together, kind of thing from a playing point of view. So again, if you haven't got the right contacts at the age of 18 and your partner drops out, you're going to drop out as well. So did you play under 17s, under 18s?
Yeah. I was never really that good in high school. I was okay, but it wasn't until after high school that I really started to get better, and I just kept playing pretty much. I never really made any teams, any high school representative teams, not for indoor. I made the New Zealand beach team, which was cool, and that's when I went to Bermuda, the World Champs under 19s. But that was all I played. I never played anything else. Yeah.
So how did you learn to become a professional athlete? I mean, there's a difference between just playing a sport, and then there's learning the nutrition, how you recover, how you prepare, how you train, sort of off the court physically. There's a whole package there about being a professional athlete. Where did that all come from?
I was lucky because when I finished school, I worked and saved some money, and then went overseas and played in Germany, just through some friends of friends pretty much put me in contact with a German coach. So I learned a lot of that kind of side of things when I was over there. And then the following year, the current New Zealand #1 team at the time, they got some money from Spark, and instead of, they didn't have enough, it wasn't enough for a full-time coach, but they were able to pay for me to go over and help them in a sort of a coaching role in terms of, like I said before, starting the film and doing all the little things. So I did that for 2 years with the former NZ #1 team, and that's where I learned a lot about the whole what it takes to be a player at that level. So I was really fortunate to have that opportunity.
Oh, that's right. So you became a video analyst, come coach for a while.
Exactly.
Which I guess was, have you had any coaching experience or training, or is it all just sort of learning on the job?
Yeah, there's definitely been some coaches that I've had in New Zealand, which have been really good. I've never had like a full-time coach that's been traveling with me and doing everything like that. So, that's one thing that when I look back at my career, if I was able to have a coach full-time, then I think I would have been a lot more successful than what I was. But there's definitely been a lot of coaches. There's been a couple of older players who have kind of mentored me a little bit, which has been awesome. But we were lucky enough a couple of years ago, one of the best coaches in the world from Germany, he came out here for a year with his family. So I learned a lot from him in that 1 year, which was awesome.
So that you did a little bit of coaching with that top New Zealand team back then. Have you done much coaching, or do you get involved in?
Yeah, I actually do a lot of coaching, to the point where I'm actually having a little bit of a break because I was just coaching so much. But I've started up like an after-school program where I go around to schools and coach beach volleyball after schools, which is pretty cool. And then I also have an indoor school team that I coach. And then last year I was actually coaching the Tauranga men's volleyball team, so I was kind of coaching and playing. So, and I also actually coached at the Commonwealth Games, the NZ #1 team for women. I was coaching them at the Commonwealth Games in the Gold Coast, so that was pretty cool.
So have you got your coaching badges, and is that something you would look at doing?
Nah, I don't have any qualifications. I've just got experience pretty much. But I think in the future it's something that I want to do. I have been doing a lot of coaching, and it's kind of made me realize that I'm not finished with the sport yet. Like I'm still fit, I'm still healthy, I'm still able to play at a high level. So I think once I kind of taper off my personal playing, then I'll definitely spend a lot more time coaching for sure.
I'd say you're about to qualify, or you're on the path for qualifying for the Olympics. Stop saying as the kind of, as I used to be. I could have been much more successful. This could, your future's still ahead of you.
Yeah, for sure.
How many more years do you think it'll be, or how much longer do you think you'll be playing the game?
Yeah, I've got to the point in my life where I'm not spending every dollar that I earn on volleyball. So that's a big thing. There was a 10-year period there where everything I was doing was towards volleyball. So I've kind of realized that I need to start setting myself up in terms of like my life. So, like I mentioned earlier, I bought a house last year, which was awesome. And I'm looking, hoping to have kids in the next few years. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment, is trying to balance those two. If there was a situation where the funding, or there was a program and I could do, and I didn't have to worry about the money side of things, then I'd probably play for another 8 to 10 years probably. But the thing is that I just can't sustain that lifestyle for that much longer.
Now I'm just guessing here, but you're about 31 now?
Exactly.
And
So,
you think you can keep playing till you're 40? Wow, that's
totally. The best players in the world at the moment, they're kind of like mid to late 30s. So there is definitely a couple of good teams that are young, but there's a guy from America, Jake Gibb, and I think he's mid 40s, and he's still doing really, really well. So it's kind of not experience is a big thing. So the more you play, the better you get. And if you're still, and obviously it takes a toll physically, but I think I could still play at a high level for a few more years. That's for sure.
Wow. Yeah, because again, rugby players, early 30s, they're thinking about retirement, and you're saying that it's possible to go past your late 30s. Wow, that's
definitely.
So it is the funding is the issue rather than toll on the body, which is
exactly. It's just a lifestyle thing, It's sacrifice. If I could keep going at what I'm doing, and then I'd be 10 years further down the track for the rest of my life. So it's a tough decision to make. It really is, and I'm still trying to do as much volleyball as I can. But like I said, I've got to start thinking about the future and setting myself up financially, because at the moment that's not coming from volleyball. So I've just got to balance it out.
So when you say you kind of ratcheted back a little bit, how many hours are you still doing? So it sounds like you say you're leaving work mid-afternoon to get training in. You've every Tuesday at least. You've got the social volleyball going on. So how many sort of nights a week do you train sort of on the sand, and how many nights a week are you in the gym?
So the social stuff Tuesday, that's not me. That's a super low level. Like I'm not doing the social stuff, but I'm normally doing like 3 beach sessions a week. I actually didn't go to the gym this season. The season just been because it was just my knee. I needed to give my knees a break pretty much. But coming up this year, I'll be getting back into the gym. So normally about 3 times a week, and then training pretty much as we can. But it's not, the thing with volleyball is it's not like we don't have set trainings every week. It's kind of like who can show up on what day. So we might have a training on Monday, and then at the end of the training, we'll be like, okay, who can do this day or who can do that day? We'll kind of set up through the rest of the week. So I'll probably be training about 3 times after school, after work.
Wow, that would make a rugby coach that would do his head in.
It's frustrating. You try and set up like regular trainings, but it's just what it is. People can't always commit, and it's just not like other sports in that regard.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I was trying to have a quick chat with when I chat with the CEO of it. But is the image of the kind of beach, fun, laid-back lifestyle, but also trying to be, but also on the flip side, it's high performance, highly competitive game. Do those cultures clash?
I mean, like it's definitely presented like you said, like it's at the beach and it's relaxed. But I think that it is quite an athletic sport to to be running and jumping around the sand. So it does clash a little bit for sure. when people's perception of it, but once you kind of play the game and realize that, you know, it's pretty hard work, you know, understand that you've got to be doing a lot of training to be good at it. So yeah, I think the high performance side, it's just we don't have that program at the moment where everyone's there playing. There was a couple of years ago when we had maybe 8 men's teams that were playing at a really, really high level. And it was actually when that German coach came out, and he was really, really astounded of how good we were. But the thing was that no one's training. No one's full-time training. We're all just kind of playing because we love it. And there's the top 2 teams that might be training. And then this summer, you know, there's only like 1 or 2 of from that 8 that are still playing. And that kind of like made me upset a little bit, because I was thinking, man, if we were able to keep that team, you know, that group of 20-odd players, then the whole New Zealand volleyball will be benefiting from that. So that's a little bit, you know, disappointing when we can't hold on to those top players for sure.
Yeah, and well, the ODs, for example, that looks like it's 3 brothers who are kind of into volleyball. And when you played in that qualifier you were talking about earlier, the Continental Cup, you paired up with Sam OD, but that was because his brother Ben had got injured and dropped out, apparently, I believe. So does that mean now that you two kind of have to stay together for the rest of the Olympic qualifying, or?
No, not at all. So the thing is that New Zealand can enter any combination that they want for any of the Olympic trials. So I actually got selected in November to play that event, but it got cancelled or postponed because of the measles outbreak that happened in Fiji. So we didn't end up playing it then, and then it looked like we weren't going to get selected. The whole selection process for that was interesting. It just wasn't very clear cut. So, you know, we found out maybe like just over a week before we were playing that I was going to be playing with Sam, and you know, it was good because I had played with Sam before. It wasn't like I was playing with a new partner, but it was also tough because I hadn't played with him for a long time. So it's it was an interesting thing. But I guess for the next Olympic qualifying event, which will be next year, it could be Sam and his brother Ben. It could be me and Johan, or it could be the other team, Tom and Alani. You kind of never really know. So, and it could be any one of the combinations. I could be playing with Ben, for example, or you never really know. But at this stage, once Ben comes back from his injury, then he'll be playing with Sam again for sure.
Okay, so all right, so you've helped New Zealand earn a spot
exactly.
in the next stage, which in some ways makes sense in the fact that, look, if you got injured, then how could the other person that misses out entirely because they've lost that sort of one place. So I was wondering how much it's a team collective and a team pair kind of sport.
For the Olympic stuff, it's the collective. You need 2 teams, but for every other tournament, it's just one team. But as soon as the tournament starts, if someone gets injured, you can't replace them. So
right.
It's only who you enter with. So I could enter with anyone leading up to the tournament, and then as soon as they say, "Yep, the tournament's begun," if you have an injury, then you have to pull out. You can't replace them.
So on the World Tour, is it you and Johan qualify as a pair, or is it kind of you qualify on your ranking, and if Johan's not available, you can play with somebody else and still get into those tournaments? How does that kind of balance work?
The ranking points are individual ranking points. So if I was playing with Johan and we got a result, those points would be halved and given to each of us. Normally, you play with the same person throughout the whole season, and you build those points up. But if Johan got injured, then I would take half of the points, and then hopefully the partner that I replaced them with would also have points. So if you have that, then you could get into the tournament. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So okay. So you don't keep all the points from when you want to. You take your half. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. I think I've asked most of the kind of things, but any other kind of stories like 6 on the floor? Actually, that's one of the things I asked Olivia was, so cycling teams take basically mattresses around, because if you sleep on different mattresses, it can alter. You can basically get injuries just from sleeping on a different mattress. Have you ever thought of traveling with a mattress topper or something like that, or a mat for that kind of stuff?
Nah, I haven't. Not for that reason. I have travelled with like an inflatable air bed, like a camping one that goes into my bag, just because I knew that I was going to be sleeping on the floor for the majority of the time. So that's when I was travelling when I was younger. I was travelling with a mattress like that. But yeah, not really. You just kind of tough it out. If you get a bad sleep, you just got to get up and play pretty much.
As you get more senior, you get used to better conditions, so you don't have to worry so much about sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Etc. Cool. So yeah, I think I've covered off on just about all my questions. Any kind of other thoughts around volleyball that we should let people kind of know about?
Yeah, I guess it's in New Zealand. It's a pretty low-profile sport at the moment, anyway. We are trying to build it up and get bigger, but it's just a really, really fun sport to play, and you get opportunities, to meet people and meet friends from all around the world. And the cool thing is that once you've played a few tournaments, you can stay with friends in Europe and wherever, so in America and things like that. So I'm really really grateful for the experience that I've had so far in beach volleyball, and as you said, hopefully I can continue it and play some more. But yeah, I mean, if people are wanting to play, I would just suggest to just get out and play. It's going to be a lot of self-driven. It's not like other sports where they make schedules for you and they give you training programs and things like that. A lot of it's just you have to do it on yourself. So, but if you love the sport enough, then you'll go and do it for sure. And that's what happened to me.
And don't forget that actually you don't have to have a beach either. You just need sand. So there are sand courts inland as well, folks. So do check out the Volleyball New Zealand website if you want to get involved and you don't live next to the beach as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Mike, so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure talking through some of your volleyball life.
No worries. Thanks.
Good luck with the house and good luck with your Olympic qualification when that gets back on track.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you. Don't forget, folks, please do like the Facebook page, New Zealand Sports Radio, or if you prefer to listen, then we are also a podcast. We're available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those places. So just search for New Zealand Sport Radio.